telling. In the chemistry concept, actually there are three domains of chemistry concept. One is something what we can observe, something which cannot be observed, that's called the molecular level, and something the way we present the things. So let me discuss in a few lines, I can discuss with you. So what is that observable levels? Like suppose when we do a reaction, we put compound A and compound B, we're getting a compound D. So it may happen that D is some different color compound we are getting, maybe we are getting a smell. So that's something we observe. So that means what we can see, we can touch, we can smell, that is something is called the observed. And what is molecular level? The thing itself is telling that it is molecular level, that we can't see, that is completely invisible to us. So how we can explain those things? Either we use a molecular models, and nowadays technology are very sophisticated. We use the very sophisticated technology that is called the molecular modeling software is available. Even nowadays you can see lots of animation, simulation to explain all these molecular level of concept. And what is the symbolic level? Symbolic level is to present the thing what we have observed and what is explained the molecular level. So then we present it either by a chemical formula or by a chemical equation or maybe some mathematical formula, maybe plotting in a graph. So these all things are called the symbolic level. So that means in chemistry, these three domains are actually connected: observation, molecular level, and the symbolic level. So he is a very famous chemistry educator. His name is Alex Johnston. He's a UK educator. He has published lots of papers on chemistry education, how we can develop the chemistry education, how the chemistry curriculum should be designed. So he was rightly proposed a triangle. This you can see it's a triangle, and you can see that students are using a staircase and going to the each corner of the triangles. So do you know what is called the each corner of the triangle? Each corner of the triangle present all these three domains. That here it is a macroscopic concept. This is a microscopic, means molecular level of concept, and here it is the symbolic level of concept. So here you can see here the water, the first concept of water, a glass of water, a bottle of water, that's called the macroscopic concept, what we can observe. Then the molecular level, this is called the molecular level of concept, how the water molecules looks like, what is the shape of the molecules, what is the behavior of that molecule. So that is the microscopic. And then this is a symbol. So now what he told, he proposed that a meaningful learning happen when students are able to connect the three domains of chemistry properly. And how the students will be able to connect those three domains? When we chemistry educators are able to teach the students that how to connect that three domains. So this is called the integrated macro micro symbolic approach. Actually, across the world now, chemistry educators are trying to make the content in that a way so that we can follow this integrated macro micro symbolic approach. So now you see, definitely now students are going to ask me, okay ma'am, you told me the molecular level concept. So what are those molecular level concept? How will I identify that these are the molecular level concept? So these are the molecular level concept. Definitely, as I told you, something that we can't visualize. So definitely it's atoms, molecules, atomic size, valence electrons, shape of the molecules, then bonding electrons, non-bonding electrons, chemical bonding. So these all the things, these are very, very fundamental concept of chemistry. But this is actually the molecular level of chemistry. And the thing is that then why we should learn that molecular level chemistry? Because these all concept explains the behavior of the compounds, and this behavior we use for the real world application. Okay, so let me give you a very simple example. You see, we use gold for ornaments, but why we don't use iron or copper for the ornaments? What is the reason behind that? I know students will tell me, no ma'am, actually gold doesn't react with the air, but iron and copper, it easily react with the oxygen in the presence in the air. So some oxidation reaction happen. That's why we don't use iron or copper for the ornaments. We use the gold. Okay, very good answer. So this is the macroscopic answer. Like, yeah, we can see that copper is reacting with oxygen. It gives a copper oxide, some brown colored precipitate is forming. So all those things we can see. But can you tell me why such things are happening? Why gold is not reacting? Why the copper and iron are reacting? And you see, in the air, there are so many gases are there: hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, even noble gas. But why only oxygen is responsible for that? Why not the hydrogen, nitrogen, and other gases? So all those things we can explain the molecular level structure of the elements. What is the molecular structure of the gold? What is the molecular structure of iron, copper? What is the molecular structure of nitrogen, oxygen? So if we can understand all those things, then it will be clear to us why such reactions are happening. So you see, we have all the, in the triangle, we have only the concept of symbolic and macroscopy. We don't have any concept of molecular level, because no of the books it's explaining the things why such things are happening. So then how we can enhance our molecular level concept? So we have to visualize the thing, and how we can visualize? By molecular modeling activity. So now you can see that molecular modeling activity actually is a very, very popular and helpful tools in chemistry, especially in the research lab and the pharmaceutical companies, polymer companies. You can see here I have written the using of models which can explain the structure of molecules and behaviors of the molecule. That only I mentioned in the early page. Early means beginning only I mentioned that thing, the behaviors of the molecule. So nowadays is very popular due to this pandemic. Everyone know that how the vaccines are creating, all these clinical trials and everything. So do you know how the things happen? It's not that it came immediately to the research lab. First, the thing happened, it's a molecular modeling. Scientists make a molecular models in a computer. Then they decide how the reactions can happen, how the drugs can attack the RNA which is present in the coronavirus. So molecular modeling is a very, very important thing. It's a very useful tool that actually the pharma companies, polymer companies, even in the research lab also chemists and students are using. You see, let me give you a very simple example. What is that? It's a bottle. So this plastic bottle, I can switch, I can do anything with the plastic bottle. I mean, that means it's flexible. Now think, this is also a plastic thing. Can we squeeze it? No, we cannot squeeze it. Then what is the difference between these two bottles? Two things, both are polymers. Only the difference between their molecular structure. So how it happened? The polymer chemist first do a molecular modeling in a computer. Some software is available. With that, they design the molecules. Then it goes to the lab and they synthesize the polymers. So this is the way things are happening. But these are quite expensive and high, means very, very sophisticated molecular modeling software. But definitely we are not going to use that molecular modeling today. So today what we are planning to do, we'll explore the molecular modeling with the school level topics. Today we'll try to visualize all these molecules, atoms, chemical bonding, everything by molecular modeling. Okay. So I know that today our audience is from 7th standard to 12th standard, even teachers are also there. So this is the first session of molecular modeling. So I have chosen the very fundamental concept of chemistry, which today we are going to explain with the molecular models. So now you see in front of us, we have, these are all the molecules we come across in the table.
Wait for few minutes. Students, we need to wait for 2 minutes. There is some network issue at her end. We'll resolve it.
Hello.
Okay, ma'am.
Hello.
You can go
Yeah.
ahead. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. There was some problem. It's just disconnect.
Please.
Okay. So go to the, okay, let me share the screen. Okay. So let me start the activity now. So for doing that, you can, I have made a periodic table on based on atomic size. So I can show you that periodic table. You can see this is a periodic table. It has been made based on the atomic size. So I know the students who are studying in 8 to 12 standard, they are familiar with the periodic table. So periodic table is, it's a very organized way, very systematic way the elements has been placed according to the atomic numbers. So just one important thing I would like to share with all of you before we are going to start the activity. The thing is that you can see here, this is the vertical things. Vertical column is called the group, and the horizontal one is called the period. So now you have seen, except the hydrogen, here you can see all these elements, the same group, I have kept the same color. Do you know why I have kept? Because the elements in the same groups are chemical properties are same. So that is the reason I have used the same color. And one thing maybe you have noticed that the atomic size is increasing. In a group from top to bottom, atomic size is increasing. And from left to right, the atomic size is decreasing. So now, when we will do the start the activities, we have to keep in mind the size, atomic size. And definitely I am going to guide you people that what will be the atomic size, but that at least for the students who are higher level from 9 to 12 standard, they should keep it in mind that what will be the atomic size. Like if I'm making some molecule atoms, carbon and nitrogen, the carbon size, atomic size will be bigger than the nitrogen. Okay, so let's start the activity. So we can move to the working table now. Yeah. So let's start to make some atoms first. Okay, so we all familiar with the hydrogen. So let's first make the hydrogen atom. So as I told you, the hydrogen is the first element of the periodic table. So the atomic size will be the smaller one. So we'll make few atoms. From few hydrogen atoms we'll make here. So those who are doing the activity, so they also can make with me some hydrogen atoms. So make some 3 or 4 hydrogen atoms, because we are going to use the hydrogen atoms for making some molecules. Okay, so I have already few hydrogen atoms I can show you. So these are the hydrogen atoms. Okay, now we can make some carbon atoms. So carbon atoms will be bigger than the, I can for carbon atoms, I'm preferring the green color. So carbon atoms will be slightly bigger than hydrogen. So let's make some 2 carbon atoms. And after carbon, we can make nitrogen. Okay, so nitrogen, I can use this color, orange color. So nitrogen size will be bigger than carbon. Okay, so we have make some atoms already. So atoms are in front of us. Now we can visualize the atoms. And some oxygen I can make, because we are going to use the oxygen, carbon and hydrogen to make some molecules. So let's make some oxygen, but oxygen atomic size will be smaller than carbon and nitrogen. Okay, done. So the atoms are ready. Now we have to make the molecules. Okay, so can we go to the PPT now? Please share the screen.
Yes, ma'am. You can share your screen now.
I can share the screen? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So we have make some, as I told you. So making the molecules, first we have to make the atoms, maintaining the atomic size of different elements, which is maintained in the periodic table. And with the atoms, we will make molecules, and with the molecules, we'll make the compounds. So here you see, I have already prepared few atoms for you people, so that I'm displaying here. Okay. Now going to start the activities. I told you the first slide, what I told you, that macroscopic, microscopic, and symbolic concepts should be connected when we are teaching the students. So now let me start the molecular modeling activity with some practical application, the real world application. So now if I ask you, what is the gas is released in environment due to photosynthesis? I know everybody will give me the answer, oxygen. Okay, now my question is that, is it an oxygen atom or oxygen molecule which is released by that plants? What will be the answer? The answer is oxygen molecule. It's not an oxygen atom. So now, being a chemist, I'm going to ask you, what is the difference between oxygen atom and oxygen molecule? So oxygen atom means whatever the oxygen atom just now I have prepared. I have just prepared oxygen atoms. I have just prepared the oxygen atoms. Then what is the oxygen molecule? Oxygen molecules are that when the two oxygen atoms come close and they make a bond. Okay, so what type of bond is forming here? So you can see here I am using simple stick. These are the stick I am using. So these two sticks are the chemical bonds for me right now for molecular modeling. So what is that? I can two atoms make a double bond. Now this is the oxygen molecule. So what is the difference between oxygen atom and oxygen molecule? Atoms means they are not bonded. They are all separate, individual, like that, like that. And what is the oxygen molecules? When the two oxygen atoms come very close and they make a bond, then only the molecules happen. Molecules form. So now you see here I mentioned it's a double bond. So definitely you can ask, why double bond? Why not a single bond? Why not a triple bond? Yes, it's a very, very important question. The why it's only double bond. Actually, that thing also we can explain by a molecular modeling activity, that why oxygen molecules are forming by a double bond, why single bond. But for that, we should have some concept on electronic configuration. So since our today's students are from 7 to 12 standard, we also have very small kids. So keeping it in mind that thing, so that part today I'm not discussing. So I'm just discussing that a molecules form when the two atoms come very close and they make a bond. So that means chemical bond. So that is the importance of chemical bond. So chemical bond is something, it's a molecular level of concept when the two atoms come very close and they make a bond. Then only the molecule forms. Now, with that, I'm going to connect it, the chemical formula, because I know chemical formula is something students are like, they're quite burdened with the chemical formula. They feel, oh my God, everything we have to memorize, so many chemical formulas are there. But you know, just knowing the molecular structure, we can explain the why that formula has been designed. What is the meaning of that formula? Okay, now you tell me, this is 3 oxygen atoms. So these are the 3 individual oxygen atoms for me. So these are the 3 oxygen atoms. Okay. Now in chemistry, we don't write 3 oxygen atoms in a word. We write using a formula. So do you know what is the formula we use to present the 3 oxygen atoms? I know you people know it, but the thing is that you never connect this formula with the molecular structure or the molecular level of concept. So this is called 3O. So what is 3? 3 is the coefficient that we use before the symbol of an elements. Like oxygen is the symbol of, O is a symbol of oxygen. So 3 is the coefficient. So coefficient means that indicates the number of atoms and molecules. So if I ask you what is 3O, so 3O means 3 oxygen atoms. Now what is this? This is oxygen molecules. 4 oxygen molecules, like 2 oxygen atoms make double bond and form the molecule. So now we have 4 oxygen molecules like that. Now tell me, what will be the symbol of that 4 oxygen molecules? The symbol of 4 oxygen molecules is 4O2. So what is this 4? 4 is the coefficient. Again, I am telling you. In chemistry, before the symbol, like symbol of an element, the number is called the coefficient. The coefficient means the number of molecules or atoms. And what does it mean by subscript? This O2, 2 subscript. That indicates the number of atoms which is used to make the molecules. So here you can see here 2 atoms are used to make the molecules. So that means it will be O2. And how many molecules are present? 4 molecules are present. Now you can relate the chemical equations, what you have learned in the textbook. 2 sulfuric acid plus 2 NHO give you some sodium sulfate. So what does it mean by 2? That is written before the symbol 2. That 2 means 2 molecules of sulfuric acid, 2 molecules of sodium hydroxide. They react and they give a salt. So now don't think it's just a number. This the number of molecules or number of atoms present in a molecule. So one more example for you. So what is this? This is nitrogen molecule. So here I can see the nitrogen molecule. So I can show here only. So these are the nitrogen molecule. For me, this nitrogen molecule I have made using the red color. So this is the nitrogen molecule. So nitrogen molecule, you can see here, I am using triple bond. So for me, the triple bond is the 3 stick. So I am putting the nitrogen here, the 3 triple bond. So now this is the nitrogen molecule. And what is the nitrogen atoms? These 2 are the nitrogen atoms. These are not bonded with any chemical bonds. So now, here are 4 nitrogen atoms. So what will be the chemical formula for nitrogen atoms? It will be 4N, and when 2 nitrogen molecules are there, it will be 2N2. So now, never forget what is the meaning of coefficient and what is the meaning of subscript in a chemical formula. Now see how nicely we connect the chemical formulas, which is called a symbolic concept, with the microscopic level. So can we check our learning, that how much we understood the concept of coefficient and concept of subscript in chemical formula? So let's do some activities. Okay, please go to the working table. Yeah. So now you can see here already I have made the 2 hydrogen atoms. So now already you know it. 2 hydrogen atoms means it will be 2H. 1 hydrogen molecule means it will be 2 hydrogen atoms are bonded. We are making a 1 hydrogen molecule. So what we are, will be making 2 hydrogen molecules. So let's make 2 hydrogen molecules. Two hydrogen molecules.
It's not in view, please.
Yeah,
yes.
now?
Yes.
Yeah. So these are the 2 hydrogen molecules. Okay, so this is how you are going to write the chemical formula then, 2H2. If 3 hydrogen molecules, it will be 3H2. Now, if I ask you, you make 4C. C is the formula, C is the formula of, C is the symbol of carbon. Okay, so if I ask you, make 4C, then that means 4 carbon atoms we have to make. So this is the 1, 2, then we can make few more. So this is 4 carbon atoms. Okay. Now, if I ask you, you make hydrochloric acid. How you are going to make it? Hydrochloric acid. So that means 1H, 1Cl. You see there is subscript is 1. So that means 1 hydrogen atom, 1 chlorine atom. So, and according to the atomic size, hydrogen atom's atomic size will be smaller and chlorine atomic size will be the bigger. So if this is the chlorine, so if, and this is the hydrogen, then it will be hydrogen chloride, HCl. Now, if I ask you, make carbon dioxide molecule. So how many carbon and how many oxygen atoms you are going to take? So we have to think the subscript. How many subscripts are there? So in a carbon dioxide, carbon subscript is 1 and oxygen subscript is 2. So that means to make a carbon dioxide molecule, I need 1 carbon atom and 2 oxygen atoms. So I have already made it. So these are the oxygen atom, 2 oxygen atom. This is 1 carbon atom. So it will be, we'll make a double bond and one more. What is this? This is carbon dioxide molecule. It's a linear in shape. Okay. If I ask you, make sulfuric acid, how we are going to make it? So what is that? Sulfuric acid means H2SO4. So how many hydrogen atoms? 2 hydrogen atoms, 1 sulfur atoms, and 4 oxygen atoms. So subscript means the number of atoms required to make a molecule. So let me make the sulfuric acid. It's very interesting. And you know, with this structure, you also can explain why sulfuric acid behave as an acid. So let me make some sulfur. So I can take this one as a sulfur because sulfur atomic size will be the bigger one. So compared to oxygen and hydrogen, so this is sulfur. So according to the sulfuric acid formula, sulfur is one atom. How many oxygen atom? H2SO4. So 4 oxygen atom. So I can take the 4 oxygen atoms, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. So 4 oxygen atom. So first we'll make the atom. So this is sulfur atoms. These are oxygen atom, 4 oxygen atoms. And how many hydrogen? H2. So that means 2 hydrogen atoms. So I can take the 2 hydrogen atoms from here. Done. So now, how it will be make a bond? H2SO4, 2 hydrogen, 1 sulfur, 4 oxygen. What is the molecular structure? Now, this is sulfur. So let me connect with the chemical bond. Four bond connecting with oxygen. Now, 2 more hydrogens. What is this? This is sulfuric acid molecule. 1 sulfuric acid molecule. Okay, you see, we all have studied sulfuric acid. We all can remember the formula H2SO4, but we never thought how the sulfuric acid molecules are arranged, how the atoms are arranged in sulfuric acid. So this is sulfur, these 4 are oxygen and 2 are hydrogens. Now you see one important point. If why I'm telling the molecular level concept, it's not I am telling. All the big chemistry educators across the world, they are telling that why that molecular level concept is so much important. Now you see, this hydrogen is attached with the oxygen. It's not attached with the sulfur. And that is one of the reason it has sulfuric acid makes it behave as an acid. Because the students who are studying in the high school level, they definitely know this term that is called the electronegativity. Now, what does it mean by electronegativity? Electronegativity means how the elements has a tendency to pull the electrons towards itself. So what happened when hydrogen is attached with the oxygen? So oxygen is telling, okay, give your electrons to me. I want more electrons because I am electronegative in nature. Here in the sulfur is not electronegative. Sulfur is very less electronegative than oxygen. So that is the reason when the hydrogen is attached with the oxygen, oxygen pulls the electron towards itself. Give your electrons to me, I need it. So what is happening? The hydrogen is coming out. Now again another hydrogen is coming out. So when we know what is the definition of acid according to the Arrhenius theory, the molecules which dissolve in water give H+ ions, that is called the acid. Now you see, things are happening. Hydrogen is attached with the oxygen. Oxygen is more electronegative. Oxygen is telling, give your electrons to me. Hydrogen is giving the electrons. Hydrogen is coming out as a H+. So now these two are 2H+, and this is the sulfate. So these things are happening. These chemical equations is very popular. Everybody knows this chemical equation from 10th standard to 12th standard. But we never visualize how the things are happening. So just by one concept, just by one molecular level structure, we are able to explain so many things. We are able to explain the molecular structure, we are able to explain the atomic size, and we are also able to explain why hydrogen is eliminated from the sulfuric acid. If it attaches with sulfur, it's not going to happen because sulfur is not electronegative like oxygen. So sulfur will not take the electrons from the hydrogen. It will never come out. So it always should be attached with oxygen.
We can
then only it will behave as acid.
We can take few questions as well, like
yeah, okay.
Students are texting on our Facebook page also, we can see that.
Okay.
We have our eye on that comment section also, and few students here in the Zoom so want to know something about. One of the question I can see is, ma'am, is it wrong to write 2O as they form molecule? Does molecule means always two atoms combined for every atom, every element?
Very, very good question. Very good questions. Here you see, it does atom. Always remember, molecules means it should be minimum 2 atoms or maximum anything. It can be 8, 10, anything. It can go. It's depend. Like I'm giving one example. Like sulfur molecule is S8. It's not H2, S8. So that means 8 sulfur atoms make a molecule. I have make a molecular models. I can show you to the students. Here you can see. This is a sulfur molecules. How many atoms? Total 8 atoms. So it doesn't mean molecule doesn't mean that only 2 atoms will be there. But minimum is 2 atoms. Maximum it goes. It depends which kind, how many means how many atoms are making the molecules. Yeah. Next one. Hope I am able to give the means able to satisfy the students what he was asking.
Student is asking about electron affinity.
Electron
affinity.
Electron affinity. It's a very, very good question because I was expecting that thing, that what is the difference between electronegativity and electron affinity? Maybe that is his question. It's a very good question. Okay. So one thing I can do, let me, okay. So now you see electronegativity means what I told you, that this chemical bond means sharing of electron. That actually I'm going to come to my next slides, that what does it mean by chemical bond. So before that only you ask me. So now this is a chemical bond. Okay. Now electronegativity means the elements, the atoms of the elements pulling the electron towards itself. That's the electronegativity. And that is explained when a chemical bond forms. But electron affinity is when it's not a molecule, it's an atom. So this atom has a tendency to accept the electrons. So electron affinity, in chemistry, electron affinity is this explained with the terms of energy. Like oxygen wants to accept the electrons. So if oxygen electron affinity is very good, so supplying very less energy or releasing the energy, it can accept the electrons. So electron affinity is a properties of atoms, and electron negativity is the properties of a molecule when there is a chemical bond. So that is the only difference. If electron affinity is high, so that means definitely the molecule, in the molecule, it has more electronegativity. That's the only difference.
We can move it. Activity.
We can move on?
Yeah.
Yeah. So please go to the PPT.
You can now share your screen. Yes.
So we made all these compounds like 2H2, 2C. So now I think it is clear to the student what really means of coefficient and the subscript in the chemical formula. Okay. Now, as I told you that my next slide is going to be the concept of chemical bonds. So how this concept is connected with a molecular level of concept. So the chemical bonds, as I told you, the chemical bond, I'm showing you chemical bond using a stick. But remember, in real molecule, it's not a stick. It's the two electrons shared by the two atoms. Like suppose if I think the oxygen molecule, as we make the oxygen molecule, okay, let me take the hydrogen first. Because, yeah. So this is a hydrogen molecule. So now each hydrogen atom is sharing 1 electron. So that means this bond having 2 electrons. So that's it. This is a very, very fundamental concept in chemistry. Like one single bond means 2 electrons. That is sharing by the 2 atoms. Now, this is oxygen molecule. So oxygen molecule means double bond. So how many electrons they are sharing? Total 4 electrons they are sharing. Means each atom is sharing 2 electrons. So that means in a double bond, how many electrons are there? 4 electrons. So single bond means 2 electrons sharing by each atom. And oxygen, double bond, so this is hydrogen, single bond. In the bonding, the chemical bond contains 2 electrons. Here oxygen, double bond, it contains 4 electrons. So now, since these electrons are participating in the bonding, that's why it is called bonding electrons. So chemical bond is nothing but the overlapping of the bonding electrons. Because those who know the electronic configuration of oxygen atom or oxygen element, they know there are a few more extra electrons which are not participating in the bonding. So that's why it's not, since it's not participating in the bonding, that's why it is called non-bonding electrons. So they behave as a lone pair. If I think like that, how many non-bonding electrons? 1, 2, 3, 4. So each oxygen atom, 2 bonding electrons, 4 non-bonding electrons. So this I can draw like that, or I can make a model like that, that 2 electrons are present in an orbital. So here you can see I have made an orbital like that. So you people also can do it. So just I have made a small pitch board. I have cut it like an orbital and put 2 electrons, and then I just paste with a stick, a small orbital I have made. So just to explain the thing, that how the non-bonding electrons occupy the orbital. So now this is the correct presentation of the molecules of oxygen molecule, where 2 oxygen atoms coming close, they are making the double bond, and double bond means they are sharing total 4 electrons. So each oxygen atom is sharing 2 electrons, and there are non-bonding 4 non-bonding electrons. These are called the lone pairs. So there are each oxygen atom having 2 lone pairs, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the structure of the oxygen molecule. I have made this oxygen molecule structure for you. Okay, now, okay, then maybe you can ask me, okay, ma'am, you discuss everything about the molecular structure. Why to remember that? Why we have to know this molecular structure? What is the importance of that? Why we'll know the molecular structure? Yes, it's a very good question. Why we'll learn the molecular level concept? So what I told you beginning only, that the molecular structures help us to explain the behavior of the molecules, and we use this behavior in the real world. So now everyone knows oxygen is highly reactive. It's very, very reactive molecule. So I'm going to give you a very simple example of real world, from the real world. I'm going to give you an application, and I'm going to connect it, that how the chemical reactions is connected with the molecular structure of the oxygen molecule. Now, what is this? Everyone we have encountered in our daily life. Keep the banana, any banana, raw banana, dried banana, anything, keep it. It turns into brown or black. Cut the brinjal, keep it. Just within few minutes, you can see the brown spot. Do you know what is happening here? So you may tell, yeah, maybe those people know, they can tell, yeah, it reacts with oxygen. Yeah, it's a good answer. This is our macroscopic concept. Actually, this phenomenon is called, scientifically, it is known as enzymatic browning. So now what is happening? Yeah, you are right. It's happening due to presence of oxygen in the air. But again, I'm telling you, why not with nitrogen? Why not with hydrogen? Why only with oxygen? Because the reason behind that, the structure of the oxygen molecule. Now you see what the oxygen molecule structure. So this is the oxygen molecule structure. Here, oxygen having the 2 lone pairs. Oxygen molecule means total 4 lone pairs. So now oxygen is telling, okay, I have the lone pair. If you need it, I can give you. So that things are happening. That makes the oxygen very reactive. So there are 2 reasons oxygen is very reactive. Then nitrogen, and then nitrogen. I'm not comparing with hydrogen right now. That explanation I will give you later. Why? Because it has the lone pair. If needs, I can give you the lone pair. And if is giving the lone pair to the another element, what is happening? One new chemical bond is forming. New compound is forming. At the same time, oxygen is also electronegative. So electronegative means it can pull the electron towards itself. So if it's pulling the electrons from any other elements, it's making another bond. So another new compound is forming. So that is the reason oxygen molecule is highly reactive. One, presence of this lone pair, and oxygen itself is an electronegative element, which can pull the electron. So whatever it needs, oxygen molecule can do, and that can be explained by the structure of the oxygen molecule. So now Oxidation means we know oxygen. We don't means it's not nitrogen or hydrogen, it's a oxygen. The reason behind that, the molecular structure explains that thing, that why in oxidation we use the oxygen molecule. So now exactly these reactions are happening. Maybe for high school level, they can understand the reactions. Actually, these kind of fruits and vegetables, they contain polyphenolic compound, and they also have an enzyme that is called PPO enzyme, polyphenol oxidase enzyme. So when you cut it or maybe keep it for quite a longer time or longer days, what happened? It react with oxygen. It's oxidation reaction in presence of oxygen. It make a quinone type of molecules, which is actually brown color. Then it undergoes series of enzymatic reactions and it forms the melanin. So this is the melanin. The brown and black color is the melanin. And melanin is this is responsible for the color of our hair. So actually this is the melanin is forming. And why such things are forming? It reacts with the oxygen. Why oxygen is reacting? The molecular structure of the oxygen is responsible for that. I'm giving you one more example. This is a very, very common example. Everyone knows that hemoglobin carries oxygen. Why oxygen? It is carrying. Same thing. Here, oxygen having the lone pair. So this lone pair make a weak bond with the iron which is present in the hemoglobin. It's a very weak bond. So there are three types of bond: covalent bond, ionic bond, and the coordinate bond. So coordinate bond is comparatively weak bond than covalent and ionic bond. Why? Because this lone pair is just donate to the iron for time being. Okay, I'm giving you lone pair for time being. You deliver me to the cells of the body and then I'm removing from you. So that kind of thing is the coordinate bond. It's not a very strong bond. It's a quite weak bond. And why such things are happening? Because that is required for our body. If it's completely bind with iron, then it will not deliver to the cells, and then cells cannot undergo any metabolism. So that's why we need very weak bond, so that it can bind easily, it can break easily. So what is happening? Just think about this thing. This is iron of hemoglobin. My hand is like that. So what I am doing from the lungs, I am taking the oxygen molecule like that with the lone pair. Then I am transferring to the cell of the body. From there, what I am taking? From there, I am taking the carbon dioxide molecule. So let's make some carbon dioxide molecule. Yeah, already we have made it, no? This is the carbon dioxide molecule, but only thing we have to give some lone pair, because if I don't put the lone pair, it will not understand what is happening. So 2 lone pairs here and another lone pair. Yes. So now this is carbon dioxide molecule. C double bond O and oxygen having the lone pairs. So what is happening? Now from the lungs, suppose this is the hemoglobin, iron. I am taking the oxygen like that, making a bond with the lone pair, not with the double bond, making a bond with the lone pair. You see, this is the concept we should have, that how the oxygen make a bond. And this is a coordinate bond. It's not a very strong bond, it's a weak bond. I'm taking it, delivering it to the cells. Now cell have lots of carbon dioxide. So now again, this is the iron, hemoglobin. It's taking the carbon dioxide, making a bond with the oxygen lone pair, delivering to the lungs. So this is the way things are going on. And now you understood that why such things are happening? Because the lone pair which is present in the oxygen and the carbon dioxide molecule. And also, okay, can I go to the PPT now? I want to show some pictures.
Yes, ma'am, you can share.
So one more thing you people have noticed. the structure of the molecules are a linear, because the thing is that hemoglobin itself is a very big molecule. So if the structure, if the molecule which is carrying by the hemoglobin, it itself is a very big structure, it's not going to carry. It should be small. Shape should be small and should be linear. Something is linear means very easy to put in the seat. So that's things are happening. Like suppose you see this is my hand, and if this is the oxygen molecule, with my hand I can only pick up this small ball. But if you give me a ball, do you think I am going to hold it? No, I can't hold it because that is quite big. So that's not going to put inside the pockets of the hemoglobin. So that is the reason the shape of the molecule, atomic size is very, very important. Why not nitrogen? Nitrogen atomic size is quite bigger than the oxygen. So that's why atomic size is not matching. So these are the reason that why oxygen and carbon dioxide is easily carried by the hemoglobin. And it's everything, it depends on the molecular structure of the molecules. Yeah. So now we have discussed about I have chosen the elements which actually all the students know, like from 7th standard to 12th standard. So that's why I'm not taking very complicated, some advanced level of molecules. I'm taking the very simple molecule so that small kids also can understand that how this molecule behaves and what's the understanding of the molecular level concept, because this is the very first session for the molecular level, molecular modeling activity. So again, and I'm always trying to connect it with the real world application so that you will understand that how the molecular level concept is helping to explain those phenomena. Now you see, this is a chips packet. Everyone knows the chips packet. And we also know it's a airtight. If I ask you, why airtight? I know immediately I will get the response. Ma'am, actually, fruits having some fats and oils, it can react with the oxygen. It is called the rancidity. It spoiled the chips. That's why that oxygen of the air has been removed. You see, again, this phenomenon is explaining that oxygen is reactive than any other gases present in the atmosphere. Okay, so now I'm going to ask you one question. Okay, you cannot make anything in the vacuum. So when you are removing the oxygen or you are removing the air from the packets, you have to fill with some other gases. So which gas we used? Any idea? Are you getting any response, Dr. Lakhotia, what students are writing? Yes. Which gases we use to flush the nitrogen potato chips packet?
Maximum are replying nitrogen.
Good, very good. So that means you know that nitrogen gas. But why nitrogen gas? Why not other gas? So you will tell, yeah, nitrogen is inert. That's why. Okay. Now I'm asking one more question. Why nitrogen is inert? Do you know what does it mean by reactive and inert? So after this statement, there are two questions are coming in my mind as a student. What does it mean by reactivity? What does it mean by inert? And why nitrogen is inert where oxygen is so reactive? So I think by the time you people understood that definitely molecular structure is going to play a role here. So first, let me first give you the answer of the first question. What does it mean by inert and reactive? So one thing remember, inert means, reactive means bonds in the molecules break easily. What I told you, one chemical bond means sharing of the 2 electrons. 2 chemical bond means sharing of the 4 electrons. So when the bond breaks, what happened? It's become atoms. Now, again, oxygen molecule break, it become oxygen atoms. Now what happened? Then it collide. All the atoms collide with each other. Then what happened? A water molecules form. So what is the main things for reactivity of a molecules? The molecules, the bond which is present in the molecules, that should be broken easily. Then only it considered that it is reactive. And what does it mean by inert? Inert means the bonds that doesn't break easily. You have to supply more energy. Then only the reaction will happen, or maybe reaction will not happen at all. So this is called the inertness of the molecule. So now I have given you another example here. You can see this is a methane molecule which is reacting with the oxygen molecule. We supply energy. All the atoms, all the molecules, the bond breaks, and then all are individual atoms. Then again they collide with each other. They make a new compounds, carbon dioxide and water. So this is the main concept of chemical reactions. Without bond breaking, reaction will not happen. After the bond breaking, the new bond should form. If new bond is not forming, then also there is no reaction. So what is the two main things we have to remember for chemical reactions? We have to remember the bond breaking and bond formation. That's all about we discuss in the reaction mechanism. Breaking of bond, formation of the bond. Okay. So now, second question what I asked, why nitrogen? Why not the other oxygen or hydrogen? We consider as a inert. Now see the structure of the molecule. Hydrogen, single bond. Oxygen, double bond. Nitrogen, triple bond. Now, can you tell me how many bonding electrons are participating here? Dr. Lakhotia, can you check that what are the answers we are getting? So each molecule, how many bonding electrons are participating in the bonding? For hydrogen, for oxygen, and for nitrogen.
Students, you can reply.
Any response from the we are getting from the students?
I think 1, 2, 3. On Facebook, Prashant Wankhede, 6 for nitrogen.
Okay. For oxygen?
Oxygen 2, they are saying few of them. For oxygen, Payal Nimodia is saying 4. Gauri Kotamkar 6 for nitrogen. For hydrogen 2, Gajanan Kharabe is saying hydrogen 2, oxygen 4, nitrogen 6. And we are getting 1, 2, 3 as well. Right?
No, I think those who are writing 1, 2, 3, I think they are just talking about only the single atom, not for the molecules. I think so.
Now they can check on the screen.
Yeah. So now you see, in a hydrogen molecule, each atom is sharing one electrons. So that means one single bond means 2 electrons. Oxygen, each atom is sharing 2 electrons. So that means double bond means total 4 bonding electrons. In nitrogen, each nitrogen atom is sharing 3 electrons. So that means triple bond means total 6 bonding electrons. Now you see, just by checking the structure, you can say when something is triple bond, it's really difficult to break. Means if I use our own common sense, it's difficult to break than double bond and triple bond. If now you think with as a chemist, so 3 bonds means total 6 electrons overlapping happen. So definitely it's a high energy compared to the oxygen where the 4 overlapping and 4 electrons, and for the hydrogen only 2 electrons overlapping. So then definitely nitrogen, which is a triple bond, it's a very strong. So from now onwards, you remember triple bond means this is the strongest bond between single bond and the double bond. So strongest bond means definitely we need more energy to break it. If it requires more energy to break it, so that means it's a inert and non-reactive. And if I use the experimental data, I can show you that You see, for the nitrogen bond breaking, we require 945 kilocalorie per energy. But single and double bond require means almost half, it's less than half energy is required to break this bond. So that is the reason that hydrogen oxygen is more reactive than nitrogen. So nitrogen is considered as a inert, but still I'm telling it's not an ideal inert gas like the noble gas configuration, but noble gas, getting noble gas is quite expensive. So that's the reason for this kind of chips packet and any kind of packets, we actually remove the air from the packets and flush with nitrogen because nitrogen is quite inexpensive. So now I think now we can explain that why hydrogen is highly flammable and oxygen is not flammable but helps in burning. So the reason behind that, the molecular structure is due to this molecular structure, they behaves like that because hydrogen bond easily can break. So that's why it's a highly flammable. Oxygen bond can break, but not like a hydrogen because it's a double bond. Double bond is stronger than single bond. So you have to supply energy. So it can help. It is not flammable, but it can help in the burning. But nitrogen, it's not a flammable. It's not even help in the burning because burning is also a chemical reactions where the bond breaking, bond forming things are happening. So that is not easily happening for the nitrogen, but it easily happen for the hydrogen and then oxygen. So now I think it is clear to you that how the chemical reactions are connected with the molecular level concept. If we understand the structure of the molecules, then we'll understand why such particular chemical reactions are happening. All the time we just memorize the chemical reactions without understanding that why such things are happening. So actually, unfortunately, in our curriculum, that symbolic and the macroscopic concept is connected. The molecular level concept is completely away from this. Very few books I have seen where they discuss the molecular level of concept, but actually this is a real flavor of the chemistry. Okay. Now I'm coming to the one point, valency. I know this is one of the most boring things for the students. Valency means I have to remember. No way, ma'am, there is no way I can remember. Valency means I have to remember. No, valency, again, it is connected with the molecular level concept. I'm going to tell you how it is coming. How the valency actually the symbol for us, but it is connected with the molecular level concept. Okay. Again, I'm coming to the molecular structure. We know the bonding electrons, non-bonding electrons. At least even for the lower kids also, they understood what does it mean by electrons, what does it mean by chemical bond. Okay, what does it mean by atoms and molecules difference between them. So at least they got some ideas. Now you see in the oxygen molecule, so each atom is sharing 2 electrons. In hydrogen, each atom is sharing 1. And nitrogen, each atom is sharing 3 electrons. So these bonding electrons are called the valency. So what is valency? Like I have 2 hands. With the 2 hands, I can hold 2 persons. So elements also having the hands. So for them, the electrons are the hands. So if the bonding electrons, we're not going to consider the non-bonding electrons. We are going to consider the bonding electrons. So now in the oxygen atom, in an oxygen molecule, each oxygen atom having 2 bonding electrons. So that means its valency is 2. Hydrogen, in hydrogen molecule, each hydrogen atom is sharing 1 electron. So its valency is 1. Nitrogen, in nitrogen molecule, each nitrogen atom is sharing 3 bonding electrons. So nitrogen valency is 3. Have you ever thought how the valency is electrons? No, we just memorize the thing that I have to memorize the valency. Okay, now, so here you can see here 3 molecules has been, the molecular modeling has been done. I will just show you. This is a molecule. This is carbon and 4 hydrogens. I'm not going to tell you the name of the molecules. I want the answer from the students. And this is one molecule. This is another molecule. This is nitrogen and 3 hydrogen. So can I get the answer? What is these 4 molecules? Name of the molecules.
Yes, we are getting
1
answers.
nitrogen, 3 hydrogen. This is 1 carbon, 4 hydrogen.
Yes, we are getting answers. Methane and everywhere. On Facebook also, I can see the answers. Master
Yeah, I
thyroid.
got the answer. I can see. Yeah, so that means this is methane and this is ammonia. Okay, very good. Now tell me the valency of the elements here, 1 nitrogen, 3 hydrogen. So what is the valency of nitrogen? What is the valency of hydrogen? Valency of nitrogen and valency of hydrogen in this molecule. And what is the valency of carbon here? Are you getting any response from Facebook students?
Yes, 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 we are getting. So we are getting that for carbon it's 4. So many students are replying.
Okay, so go to the PPT.
Screen. Yes.
So now, since nitrogen is making bond with the 3 hydrogen atoms, so that means 3 bonding electrons. So that's why nitrogen valency is 3. And carbon is making 4 single bond with the 4 hydrogen atoms. So that's why carbon valency is 4. So nitrogen either can make a triple bond with one element, or maybe it can make the single bond with the 3 hydrogen elements. So that is the way you can explain how the bonding electrons is responsible for the valency of any elements. So anyhow, water molecule, because that already we have discussed. So now in the carbon, we all know that CH4, at least for the higher grade student, they know that CH4 is the example of a tetrahedral structure. So the bond angle is HCH is 109 degree. So that everyone knows. So now in ammonia and water molecule, this is actually also a tetrahedral molecule, but their bond angle is not 109 degree. It is less than that. And that is the VSEPR theory. The students are studying that thing in the, I think, 11 or 12 standard. They are studying the VSEPR theory. So why such things are happening? So so you see in ammonia molecule, what happened? It has a lone pair like that. And as I told you that each bond means bonding pairs. So there are lone pair, bond pair repulsions are happening. So that is the reason instead of 109 degree is slightly reduced to 107 degree. And for the water molecule, this is the water molecule. In the water molecule, you can see there are 2 lone pair. But remember, these all are tetrahedral structure. But the bond angle is slightly reduced. The reason behind that, the lone pair. I have kept the lone pair in that way, try to maintain the tetrahedral structure, because this is a tetrahedral structure. If I remove this one, it will be ammonia. If I remove this one, it will be water molecule. But bond angle is not 109. Bond angle is less than 109. The reason behind that, the presence of the lone pair. And I know the students who are studying an 11 and 12 standard, they know it because this is called the VSE pair theory. So now you see that 7th standard students also now understand the VSE pair theory. What does it mean by VSE pair theory? So VSE pair theory is dealing with the presence of lone pair and bond pair, which reduce the bond angle between the molecules. Okay, go to the PPT.
Share, ma'am. Share your screen.
So now again, there are two molecules I have given. So I just want to know what is the oxidation number of sulfur here. And I want to know the name of the molecule. I especially want to know from the smaller kids, how much they understood. Maybe 7, 8 standard kids.
Students, you can reply now.
Yeah. The smaller kids like 7, 8 standard students, can you tell me that what will be the valency of sulfur in the, first you should tell me what is the name of this compound and how you are going to write the chemical formula, because you already learned that how the chemical structure is going to explain you the structure of the molecules, the formula of the molecules, and with that also you can explain the valency. So can you please explain me? Can you please let me know?
So I am inviting student. Anshu. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, tell me.
Ma'am, the first one is SO2 and the second one is SO3.
Okay, good, very good. Now, can you tell me the valency of sulfur in SO2 and valency of sulfur in SO3? Any means you learn, no, that how many, so sulfur having how many hands here? In sulfur dioxide, how many hands are there for sulfur atom?
Krishna, you can answer.
Okay, so
And
now
in the
yeah.
first compound SO2, the valency is 4, and in the second compound SO3, the valency is 6. There is variable valency.
Good, very good, excellent. So now you see, you need not to be memorized that what is the valency. The valency actually, if we can understand what is the molecular structure of that, with that we can explain the sulfur having the variable valency. So now you see, this is the common mistake students are doing. Like you see here we have written SO2. So what, you know, most of the time I have seen students actually explain the sulfur valency is 2. Here SO3. They think sulfur valency is 3. But no, it's not like that. This subscript 2 is indicating the number of atoms present in a molecule. So number of oxygen atoms present in a molecule. And this subscript 3 explain the number of atoms present in a SO3, number of oxygen atom present in a sulfur trioxide molecule. So valency is something which is directly connected with the bond, or I can say more specifically, I can say the bonding electrons. So that's why sulfur valency is a variable valency, 4 and 6. Can anyone can give me one example where the sulfur valency is 2? Any idea? Means just use your own concept and let me know that which structure, which kind of structure you can explain the sulfur valency will be 2. How the molecules, just be more innovative and creative. Just you can make a molecules, just now you can make some molecule and sulfur molecule and you can explain that, yeah, if this kind of structure is possible, then the sulfur will show the valency 2.
Ma'am, it would be H2S.
2s. So 2 is coefficient or subscript? Because this is very important. Now you should not do any mistake. So in chemical formula, 2 things we use, coefficient and subscript. So coefficient means number of atoms and molecules present, and subscript means the number of atoms required to make a molecule. So this 2s means what? You are telling 2s or s2? What you are telling? Can you please explain the things?
We are getting many answers on Facebook also.
Okay.
Like people are writing H2S, H2SO4, even few people have. Then H2SO4 is also someone is writing.
H2SO4.
Yeah. H2S, few people are writing. HS2, people are writing S2SO4.
Who has written H2S?
There are many.
Okay, good. So I think you were able to follow it. Yeah. So now you see H2S means one sulfur atom is making a bond with the 2 hydrogen atoms. So that means 2 bond. So 2 bond means 2 valency. Now one example I can give you that actually I have made. What do you think about this one? This molecule. This is a molecule S8. Is it shows any what kind of valency it is showing, these sulfur atoms?
Show it again.
Yeah, this one.
Yes, students.
So this is S8 molecule. So can anyone tell me which what is the valency of sulfur here? I want the answer from the 7-8 standard kids.
Yeah, they are writing. We'll wait.
1. Okay, someone has written, Abha has written 1. 1. Someone has written 2 also, I can see. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Okay, so now we are getting a mixture of answer 2 and 1. Okay, so now I want to listen from the student who has written. Any of the student can tell me why you are thinking the sulfur valency is 1, and one of the student why you are thinking sulfur valency is 2 here. Just any of the student can explain me.
Raise your hand so that I can give you the access. Drishti.
Ma'am, my answer is 2 because each sulfur atom is being bonded with 2 more atoms. So the valency is 2. Sulfur's
Okay.
valency is 2.
Okay, and maybe few student has told sulfur valency is 1. So can you explain why you think the sulfur valency is 1?
Those who are claiming that valency is 1 can raise their hand. Now hands have vanished. Shivaji.
Okay, no problem. So those who told sulfur valency is 2, so they are absolutely correct. Yes, very good explanation, because we can see each sulfur is making 2 bonds with the 2 sulfur atoms. That's why your sulfur valency is 2. So now how many valency sulfur have? Sulfur has either 2 valency or 4 valency or 6 valency, depending on which kind of molecule it is forming. So completely depend on the molecular structure. So whenever you find out something, okay, one more example, it will be the last example for the molecular level structure. I just want to go to the PPT.
Please share it.
Yeah. So now we learned the sulfur having the variable valency 2, 4, 6. So now such kind of things we'll get for different elements or variable valency. So whenever you will find out something that variable valency, don't memorize the thing. Just try to understand why such valency are happening. What is the molecular structure behind that? So once you understand that thing, you will feel that it's so funny, so joyful to learn the chemistry. Chemistry is not boring at all. It's a very interesting and very exciting. Just the thing is that we have to find out the flavor of the chemistry. So molecular modeling is one of such flavor of the chemistry, which give you the real scientific principle behind the explanation. Okay, now this is one molecule. This is the last molecule from my today's workshop. So already 12 o'clock. I have taken more extra time. Can you tell me that which molecule? First, I want to know which molecule it is. And then I want to know what will be the formula of that. And then I want to know what is the valency of the particular atom.
Ma'am, share your screen.
Okay. Yeah. So first I want to know which molecule it is. Then second question is what will be the formula of that. And third question is the valency. Any student? Maybe 2 or 3, any student? So one student from 7th standard, one student from 8th standard, and 9, 10, like that. Any students can tell me?
Yes, you can raise your hand. Ojas, you can reply.
And you can make the molecule in that way.
Ma'am.
Okay. Yeah, tell me. Yes.
Ma'am, it is a P4 molecule, phosphorus molecule, and its valency will be 3.
Okay, so which standard you will start? May I know your name, please?
Ma'am, my name is Ojas Sinal and I am studying in 9th standard.
Okay. Okay, one more student from 7 or 8 standard.
Eighth standard students can reply. Isha.
Ma'am, I think it is phosphorus, tetraphosphorus,
Okay.
and it contains 4 molecules of phosphorus each.
No, 4 atoms. 4 atoms of phosphorus.
Sorry,
Yeah.
4 atoms of phosphorus, and each has a valency of 3 because it's connected with, means each atom is connected with 3 of the other.
Okay. Yeah, so both you were correct. So this is, the molecule is a P4 molecules, not 4P. It's a P4. 4 will be the subscript. And P4 molecules means 4 phosphorus atoms are making a chemical bond and making a molecule. Now, if I ask you, what is the valency of the phosphorus here? So I can see here these phosphorus atoms making a bond with 3 bonds. So that's why valency is 3. Correctly, you people have told?
Many answers we have got on Facebook also. Like they
Okay.
are active. Students are active on our Facebook page. Very nicely. So many of them have written it correctly. Like valency is 3 and it's P4.
Okay, good.
Summarize.
Very good. So now, till now, whatever we have learned today, we have learned very, very fundamental concept of chemistry so that all the students can understand, especially for, I have keep it in mind, the 7 and 8 standard students, those who have introduced the chemistry, means real introduction of chemistry, first time they have been seeing the chemistry. So at least these people should know what is the importance of molecular level of concept, how it is connected with all these concepts that we are learning now. So today with these activities, we have explained the chemical formula, the chemical reactions, and the valence. And for the chemical reactions, I have chosen the very, very 3 fundamental gases: oxygen, hydrogen, and nitrogen. These are the 3 gases. First time chemistry means these are the 3 gases we learned: oxygen, hydrogen, and nitrogen. and 2 molecules, carbon dioxide and water. So that's why I have chosen all these very popular atoms and the molecules and connect with the 3 concept: chemical formula, the chemical reactions, and the valency, and how to connect with the molecular level concept. It's not to memorize the thing, it's the fact to understand the thing. So finally, I would like to conclude that molecular modeling activity is really a creative learning, conceptual learning, and of course, it's a joyful learning. So we can introduce this concept easily in the classroom. And the material which we are using, this is just a clay. Students use the clay, means kids use these clays for making dolls and so many things. And for the chemical bond, I have used very simple, the stick. You can use any kind of sticks you can use. So just we need that thing. And whenever you have some doubt, some concept, you feel, okay, I have to memorize the thing. Before memorizing, just try to be more creative and innovative, make some molecules, make some bonding, and then try to explain by yourself the why such things are happening. So what is the long-standing effects of molecular modeling? First, it allows us for the 3D visualization of the atoms and molecules. And when we have a 3D visualization, whatever the misconception we have, we are able to clarify those things. When the misconception goes, it becomes enhance our knowledge. Knowledge improves, means promote our thinking skill. Thinking skill improve means develop the problem solving skill. When we have a problem solving skill, when we promote our higher order thinking skill, it really builds our confidence. And when we have a confidence, we don't fear about the exam. And when all those things in a positive direction, ultimately, we're ready for any academic challenges. So be innovative, be creative, don't memorize a thing without understanding the scientific principle behind that. It's not only for chemistry, for all the subjects. I have just shown you the tools, very useful, very inexpensive tools, which you can help you to understand the concept, to understand the scientific principle. And thanks to everyone to joining the workshop today.
Thank you very much, Anuradha, for your time. So you have made everyone curious about these atoms and molecules, because of which we have gone out of time. So let us take few feedbacks. We have got number of questions on Facebook also, but let me assure every student that you will get the answers there itself. Not today, but we will definitely post the answers of those questions on our Facebook page.
Okay.
So I will share your questions with ma'am, and soon you will get your answers there itself. We'll take some feedback. For feedback, I would like to invite some student. Yes, I can invite Abha. Yes, you are there.
Yes. Ma'am, this was a very wonderful session, and first of all, I would like to thank honor all of I'm here to propose the vote of thanks. So, Honorable Dr. Anuradha Mukherjee ma'am, Dr. Lakhotia sir, teachers, and all my dear friends. I thank Bajaj Science Center for giving me the opportunity to express my gratitude for this wonderful session. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Anuradha Mukherjee ma'am, who took out time from her busy schedule for this session. Ma'am, this was a very wonderful session and we enjoyed a lot. Now we are totally clear with the concept of molecular modeling. Next, I would like to show my sincere gratitude to all the teachers, professors, and students who joined us in this event. I would also like to thank Dr. Lakhotia sir for organizing this session. Thank you, everyone.
How was the session? What was new to you people? Yes, as you are in 9th standard, what was new for you? That is something we would like to know from you. Yes, students, you can come and join this. Anjali, yes.
Yes, hello sir, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Yes, I would like to extend a great thank to Anuradha ma'am. Ma'am, it was really a very wonderful session. I have done this molecular modeling, but I have never thought that with this molecular modeling, we can also understand the chemical reactivity and valency and all such properties of elements in just a simple way. So it was really a very creative session, and now we don't need to mug up what is the valency and how does chemical reacts, how they form bond. You made the things very easier for us to understand. Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.
So along with students, many teachers have also joined this session. Few great minds are also there with us. I would like to request Chitra Joshi ma'am, who has joined from Mumbai. She is working with Homi Bhabha Center for Science Education for Olympiad programs. I would like to invite Chitra Joshi ma'am to share her words for the session. Chitra ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for invitation, and it's really very good activity, sir. It's really good to understand the structure and the molecule to the student. Madam has explained it very nicely, how to make the molecules and all that, and the bond formation actually for these small kids. It's good activity. Only thing that I had little confusion. I will talk to you later on that. But overall, the activity is really nice. It's for the student level, it's really good.
Yeah, this is actually, I have kept in mind the small kids, like mainly
Yeah.
the 7 and 8 standard students.
Yes, madam.
Because they are the first time introducing with all these chemical formula and valency.
Yes.
Chemical reaction. So they should understand actually what is the real meaning of that.
My question I had put in the chat box. You just go through that, Chitra Joshi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Chitra ma'am. Thank you for joining
Yes.
us.
Yes.
Finally, I would request Professor Dr. Pradeep Tekade sir, who is the mentor of Bajaj Science Center also. Sir, if you are here, then please share your words with us. Anyone else want to say anything? Anyone from the teacher community, fraternity? So with this, we would like to end this session. This was the 4th session in series. Let me repeat the thing. Every Sunday will bring you something new from the world of science, from the innovative world of science. And on behalf of Bajaj Science Center, we are thankful to Anuradha ma'am for her time, for sharing her skills, which is the need of time also. So all of us are fighting with this corona and are struggling to come out of this. But with the kind of learning which is available online through these virtual platforms, I think this is going to be a great hit to this. This would be the answer, great answer, good answer to this kind of crisis. So thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much, teachers. Thank you very much, students on the Facebook, for joining us. So next Sunday again we will be meeting at 10:30 with some more interesting things. Thank you very much. Stay at home, take care, be healthy. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.